Happy Thanksgiving. Actually, it's the day before Thanksgiving. It's about 1 p.m. and you can see I'm in my war room. So I've done everything up until this point. And what I want to do right now is I've challenged myself to focus and within the next 3 to 4 hours, starting from only what I've completed so far, write, record, and post-produce and upload a sales video for my lead magnet. So you can see that I have everything here on my desktop and I'm ready to work, and we'll see what happens in 3 to 4 hours. Okay, it took me an hour and a half to write the script and to rehearse it just once. And now I'm going to record it and do the post-production, and I think I'm going to meet my target of finishing this portion of my launch in 4 hours. China is always in the headline. Whether it's the ongoing trade war or the aftermath for NBA players after Daryl Morey tweeted support for democracy in Hong Kong, just before the Lakers and Nets were going to play a preseason game in Shanghai. We are all affected by the world's second largest economy. So the important question isn't, how do we contain China? Or how should we deal with a rising and geopolitically more aggressive China? The important question we should all be asking is, how do we understand Chinese culture enough to win in the coming decade and beyond? Or what I say, how do you know the game, win the game, doing business in China? My name is Jin Xu. I joke that I speak English almost as well as I speak Chinese, but I teach. Knowing how to speak Chinese doesn't mean you know what to say in Chinese. But knowing what to say is a win in any language. Now, after 20 years of doing business in China and now thriving in my second marriage to a Chinese woman, I have created a tactical English blueprint for winning in China that will show you how simple it can be to know what to say and when and how to say it, without ever having to speak a word of Chinese. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and a story that will connect everything that I want to share with you about winning in China. My wife was born and raised in a very conservative fourth-tier city in Hunan province. You walk into their living room and there's a portrait of Chairman Mao above the dinner table. So even though she's highly educated, speaks fluent English, and was a visiting scholar in the US long before we'd met, she still has a very traditional Chinese mindset. Now, if I'd married my high school sweetheart from Shamrock High in Decatur, Georgia, we'd probably still have arguments, as all couples do, but I'm guessing the way we argue would have been different. You see, because of our cultural differences, we fundamentally have different perception of truth. In her reality, the world is a world of relative truths, whereas I think more in terms of absolute truths. Have you ever said it's either yes or no? Well, that's how I think, but that is not how she thinks. So without getting into a long story, this is why most Westerners get really frustrated with these vague, circular conversations with Chinese people. Now, back to one of our worst escalating arguments and me listening to all the nasty, belligerent, and illogical things coming out of her mouth. And suddenly, I just stopped. I stopped and I smiled and said to her, in a very sincere way, I am the luckiest man in the world. Because I reflected how, in Chinese culture, the deeper the guanxi, the more people will feel a loss of face from the smallest, most insignificant things. I suddenly realized she cares, which in the end is the most important thing in a marriage. I had her attention, so I became grateful of that, and I forgot about being right or wrong. Because in China, in order to be successful, now this is what David Chang, who is the former CEO of Philips China, once told me on one of my first business trips to mainland China over 15 years ago. He said, Gene, to be successful in China, you have to learn to manage the different shades of gray. Because in China, nothing is black or white. Now, this statement is as much true now as it was back then. So imagine if you could learn to apply this mindset and these tactics to every one of your cross-cultural interactions in China. The Tactical English Blueprint for Winning in China will show you exactly how to do just that. So just click the link below to let me know you're interested, and I will send you the Tactical English Blueprint cheat sheet along with 4 video lessons that explain what, when, and how. You'll also receive a free invitation to join my Win Without Speaking Chinese Facebook community. But for now, I want to explain a little bit more about what I'm going to be sharing with you. In video lesson number 1 is the what. This will show you how to be culturally productive in China. In this lesson, you will learn why emphatically broadcasting your main points rarely, if ever, gets your point across. When there are language and cultural differences, people perceive your attitude more than they understand the literal meaning of your words. And this is especially important when operating in a culture that thinks in terms of relative truth, not absolute truth. This lesson will show you how to adjust your attitude naturally by shifting your attention. Once you know how you are perceived by others, which is self-awareness, and how other people feel, which is empathy, how could you not know what to say with these insights? Now, in video lesson 2, which is the when, I'm going to show you how to be culturally appropriate in China. So I will demonstrate why it is infinitely more beneficial for you to align on process rather than trying to align on value. Now, this is a mindset adjustment that focuses more on harmony. When you are able to consider what others are accustomed to, which is cultural awareness, and what others are more comfortable with or most comfortable with, which is again, empathy, how could you fail to reach alignment with this new perspective? And then in the third lesson, which is the how, I'm going to show you what it means to be culturally sensitive in China. In an indirect culture that runs primarily on the giving and receiving of face, I'm going to show you how to open the doors to make progress navigating the gray areas. Once you know the game, you will be able to win the game. And then I will give you one final video lesson with a case study that ties everything together so you can create your own blueprint for winning in China. So just let me know that you are interested by clicking the link below, and I will first of all send you the Tactical English Blueprint cheat sheet along with the first video. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in China.